Derinkuyu was carved out of solid volcanic rock, 18 floors underground, capable of housing 20,000 people. It was sealed from the inside, which means whoever built it wasn't hiding from something, they were keeping something out. It was built at a time when the official archaeological record says the region's inhabitants didn't have the tools or the organizational capacity to build anything more complex than a basic surface settlement. We'll come back to it. But it's one of 5 sites on this list that share exactly the same problem. These 5 sites were built across 5 different parts of the world by civilizations that had no documented contact with each other. Each one represents a specific engineering or logistical challenge that the accepted historical record cannot fully account for. In each case, an official explanation exists. In each case, there is a specific unanswered question at the center of that explanation that the academic literature hasn't resolved. In the next 12 minutes, we'll look at each site, identify the exact problem, and show you what the current evidence actually supports and what it doesn't. The last site on this list is the one we were most cautious about including, because the academic debate around it is more politically complicated than the others. We'll get to it. Stay with us. Derinkuyu is located in Cappadocia, in central Turkey. It was rediscovered in 1963 when a local man renovating his home broke through a wall and found a tunnel. What followed was one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. The underground city extends 85 meters below the surface, roughly the height of a 25-story building, inverted into the earth. It contains kitchens, wine cellars, stables, churches, schools, and ventilation shafts that still function today. It was designed to be self-sustaining for months at a time. The problem is the stone. Derinkuyu is carved from ignimbrite, volcanic tuff, which hardens significantly after exposure to air. That means the builders had to move fast, carve wet rock, and do it across 85 meters of vertical depth without modern drilling equipment or structural engineering knowledge. A 2017 survey by the Turkish Ministry of Culture estimated that the total volume of rock removed during construction was approximately 1 million cubic meters. Where that material went has never been adequately explained. There is no spoil heap anywhere near the site. The next site presents a different kind of impossibility. Not depth, but length. The Nazca Lines are located in the coastal desert of southern Peru. They were created between 500 BC and 500 AD by the Nazca people, using a simple technique, removing the dark upper layer of desert rock to reveal the lighter ground beneath. The lines extend across 450 square kilometers. The largest figures are over 300 meters in length. There are 70 animal figures and approximately 800 straight lines, some running for over 50 kilometers without deviating by more than a few meters. The standard explanation is that the lines were ritual pathways, walked during religious ceremonies. This is the academically accepted position. What it doesn't explain is the precision. The straight lines maintain their accuracy across hills, valleys, and uneven terrain. When surveyed with modern GPS equipment, the deviation across 50 kilometers measures in centimetres. Researchers at the University of Dresden who analyzed the geometry in 1994 found that achieving this precision without aerial reference points would have required a surveying methodology that isn't documented anywhere in the Nazca archaeological record. The animal figures are only fully visible from altitudes between 300 and 500 meters. They are invisible from the ground. The civilization that built them had, as far as the record shows, no access to that perspective. We're halfway through. The next site is the most contested on this list, because the core question isn't how it was built, it's whether it was built at all. The Yonaguni Monument lies 25 meters below the surface of the Pacific Ocean, off the southern coast of Yonaguni Island, Japan. It was discovered in 1987 by a diving instructor named Kihachiro Aratake. The structure consists of large, flat-topped terraces, stepped platforms, sharp right-angle corners, and carved channels. It measures approximately 150 meters in length and 40 meters in height, roughly the scale of a 12-story office building lying on its side. The debate is binary: natural geological formation or shaped by human hands. Both positions have credentialed advocates. Professor Masaki Kimura of the University of the Ryukyu spent 15 years diving the site and concluded that the formation shows evidence of human modification, specifically the carved drainage channels and a series of what appear to be deliberate tool marks. The Japanese government's official position is that the structure is entirely natural. What makes the question difficult is the timing. If the structure was modified by humans, It was done before the end of the last ice age, placing it at a minimum of 10,000 years ago, when sea levels were low enough for the site to be above water. That is 5,000 years before the earliest accepted examples of large-scale human construction anywhere on Earth. The debate has never been formally resolved. Nan Madol is built on a reef off the eastern coast of Pohnpei in Micronesia, 92 artificial islands connected by tidal canals, constructed from basalt columns stacked without mortar. The basalt columns used in its construction weigh between 5 and 50 tons each. The nearest basalt quarry is on the opposite side of the island, approximately 30 kilometers away by sea. The total weight of material moved to build Nan Madol is estimated at 750,000 metric tons. There are no roads connecting the quarry to the coast, no evidence of the watercraft that would have been required to transport the material by sea, no structural remains of any large-scale construction infrastructure anywhere on the island. UNESCO designated Nan Madol a World Heritage Site in 2016 and simultaneously placed it on its list of World Heritage in danger, citing, among other concerns, a lack of scholarly understanding of how the site was constructed. That is an unusual acknowledgement. The organization responsible for documenting humanity's built heritage officially stating that it does not know how one of those sites was built. The last site on this list is the one most frequently absent from discussions about ancient mysteries. Not because the evidence is weak, because acknowledging the question comes with historical complications. Great Zimbabwe sits in the highlands of southern Africa, in the country that now bears its name. It was built between the 11th and 15th centuries AD by the ancestors of the Shona people. The Great Enclosure, the central and most studied structure, is a wall 11 meters high and 5 meters wide at its base. It was built from approximately 900,000 shaped granite blocks, fitted without mortar. The wall doesn't collapse under its own weight because of the slight inward lean engineered into its construction, a technique that requires understanding of load distribution. The engineering is not the mystery. The mystery is what archaeology spent most of the 20th century refusing to ask: who built it, and what does that tell us? Colonial-era archaeologists and administrators actively suppressed evidence attributing the construction to local African civilizations. This is documented. In 1905, the British South Africa Company dismissed an archaeologist named Richard Hall after he published findings crediting the site to a sophisticated medieval African kingdom. The official position, maintained for decades, attributed the construction to Phoenicians or to inhabitants of the ancient Middle East, anyone, in short, other than the people who actually built it. The correct attribution to the Kingdom of Zimbabwe, a powerful medieval trading state and ancestors of the Shona, is now academically established, but the century of suppressed and misdirected research means the secondary questions remain substantially understudied. The wider complex covers 700 hectares. Less than a quarter has been formally excavated. 5 sites, 5 continents, 5 completely different engineering and logistical problems. What they share isn't a technique, it's a gap. In each case, the accepted explanation accounts for most of what we see, and then meets something it can't resolve. The missing spoil heap at Derinkuyu, the surveying precision at Nazca, the unresolved classification at Yonaguni, the absent construction infrastructure at Nan Madol, the century of deliberately suppressed research at Great Zimbabwe. The pattern isn't evidence of a lost civilization or of any specific alternative theory. It's something simpler and more uncomfortable. Evidence that the official record has gaps, and that in most cases those gaps haven't been the primary focus of the research. That's worth paying attention to. Which of these 5 would you put at the top of a research priority list, if budget and access weren't the constraint? Leave your answer below, and if there's a site we should have included and didn't, tell us. We read every comment. If today's video opened questions you want to follow further, we've put together a complete guide covering 50 of the most unexplained ancient discoveries. Every site, every competing theory, the sources. Link is in the description. New ancient mystery every week. Subscribe if you want to keep going.